Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management? Selling a business or transitioning out of a business is a significant financial and emotional event. I mean, think about it. You've been calling the shots, relying on the income produced from a business you've built, maintained, and grown. To successfully pull it off, it's best, if not absolutely necessary, to shift your mindset. That is the opinion of our guest, Dr. Brian Jacobsen, Chief Economist at Annex Wealth Management, right?
Yes, it is.
That's right. It's going to take a customized approach that utilizes diversification, tax efficiency, goal alignment. Brian, you're part of a highly skilled and very large and capable team at Annex that assists in business transitions. It's something we do often, but it's not something you do a week or two down the road.
No, it's not. That's correct. Yeah, actually, it's something that you should probably have mapped out years in advance. I oftentimes encounter situations where people are thinking, maybe in 5 years, I want to get out of a business eventually or transition out. And so you need to have a succession plan in place. I know you're a fan of the television show Landman. Paramount Plus, I think that's on. This isn't going to be like giving away anything, but there's a business involved in there, and there may be some health issues with the owner of the business. And it comes to light that, hey, there's a pretty good succession plan in place. To have that succession plan in place, it starts years in advance.
Selling a business or transitioning out, and it bears repeating, is a significant financial and emotional event. Where does one even start?
Yeah, so after you've had that succession plan in place, it's really about negotiating the deal, right? What is that exit going to look like? It can be a wide variety of things. Maybe it's going to be a lump sum payout. Maybe it's going to be a workout situation where you stay on as a consultant or maybe stay on full-time for a while. So what does that off-ramp look like? It's not necessarily like you're flying and you jump out of the plane and you have your parachute. Oftentimes, though, it's going to be more incremental. It might be an installment sale. Or you could even have a situation where maybe you're being acquired by a company and you get stock or some sort of ownership interest in exchange and payouts from there. So we've had some situations where there might be like a privately owned business that's bought by a publicly traded company and they get a nice payout, but it's all in stock. That's a very concentrated position, a lot of risk, and we can help try to manage that risk for clients.
I've heard you use the phrase pause and plan. Can you shed some light on that?
Yeah, oftentimes what we find with business owners is they're so busy running the business that they don't necessarily think about what do they want to do afterwards, right? What is that financial plan? If you are in that situation, you are really in a great situation to maybe take some time, sit down with somebody and say, what are your goals over different horizons? You're probably used to creating spreadsheets and looking at strategic plans. Create your own strategic plan. Right? What do you want to accomplish in the first year, in the first decade? And so pause and plan first.
Is this what's called a liquidity event? And if so, money needs to go somewhere, probably needs to be pretty intentional.
You're right. This is a liquidity event in the sense that there is a payout. And so these principles can also apply to other liquidity events to an extent, like if you get an inheritance, if let's say you win the lottery, right? I mean, there can be different types of liquidity events, and this can be a very significant liquidity event because you have your worth tied up in one business oftentimes, and it's not very liquid until it gets bought out. And so you get that liquidity, you get that money. And that's where we have to put the planning first. Because one thing I oftentimes like to say, if you have a portfolio without a plan, it could take you anywhere. And a plan without a portfolio isn't going to get you anywhere. So you need to have them side by side, but put the planning first and then align the portfolio with that plan.
Dr. Brian Jacobsen, Chief Economist, Annex Wealth Management. We're covering business sales and transitions. There's an art and a science to dollar cost averaging versus lump sum investments.
No, there is. Oftentimes people are like, you know what, I just got this big lump sum. And so do I put it in a lump sum in the markets or should I dollar cost average in? There are different schools of thought on it, but I think that really the data suggests that about 68% of the time you are further off just putting it to work right away instead of just sitting it on the sideline and tiptoeing your way into the market, because effectively by dollar cost averaging, it might behaviorally feel better, like you're not picking a top or anything like that, but in effect, you are making a bet that the market is going to go down because markets over time typically do go up. And as a result, you want to probably get that money to work sooner rather than later.
If we're working on behalf of a client, is this something we guide them with?
It is. It's one of the things that we do on the investment team. Clients might want to dollar cost average into the markets, but what we're trying to do on the investment team is also try to pay attention to market conditions and maybe be a bit more conservative at times, maybe a bit more aggressive as conditions we think dictate. And so if you're being conservative and we're being conservative, you're almost like doubling up on it.
In our last minute, let's talk about life after transition or sale. What do they do?
Yeah, that's the key thing, right? What do you do when you're going from working like 80 hours a week, if not more, to being semi-retired, fully retired? I think one of the key things is check in frequently. Set those goals, but then check in with your advisor and trusted individuals to see, have things changed, right? You might try out certain things and think, hey, I want to travel the world, but then all of a sudden you discover that maybe you get sick in the air. Or maybe something happens that your plans change. So check in periodically, because just because you have created a plan doesn't mean it's etched in stone. That's where you need that relationship with a firm like Annex, a fee-only fiduciary, where we're on your side for that journey.
Business sales transitions, they're complex. Takes a seasoned guide to assist in setting those clear goals, prioritizing long-term wealth preservation and growth. Annex puts planning first. Dr. Brian Jacobsen, Chief Economist, Annex Wealth Management, thank you.
Thank you.